What are you guys doing out here?
It's Halloween. We've been trick-or-treating.
Are you alone?
There's a creepy man in a white mask,
Where?
and he keeps, like, trying to play hide and seek with us.
Where did you see him? Look! Run! Go home now!
Hey guys, what's up? Normally we don't do long format videos, so this will be going over on YouTube, and I'll try to put some snippets on our TikTok. Today I'm going to be talking about Halloween Kills. Alright, so let's get into the details. I have my notes here. Halloween Kills 2021 was released yesterday, October 15th, both in theaters and streaming on Peacock, with a budget of $20 million. It was directed by David Gordon Green, who directed the first one in 2018, and he is lined up to direct The Exorcist and Hellraiser television series. Our producers are Malik Akkad, Jason Blum, and Bill Block. And despite debuting in theaters and streaming at the same time, the movie still managed to open in its first day with $50 million in the box office. I myself did stream it on Peacock with my roommate last night, but I might go see it in theaters to see if I get a different experience. So just to clarify, even though this would be on the title in the video, this is a spoiler-free review of the film. Since it just came out last night, I'm not expecting a lot of people to have seen it yet. So let's get into my personal thoughts of the movie. And to clarify, these are my personal thoughts. Okay, this doesn't mean you have to feel the same way as I do, or that the way I feel is wrong. It's an opinion, okay? The first thing on my list is that I wish we got more of the Strode family. We are cutting between about maybe 3 or 4 different storylines throughout the film and jumping between time periods. And we don't get as much of Laurie Strode, her granddaughter even less of, and Judy Greer has a decent amount of screen time, but I really do wish it focused a little bit more on the Strode family and how they're dealing with the events that just happened to them. Speaking of jumping between time periods, they added on to the story, and by they I mean the writers, they added on to the events of the original night in 1978, which I didn't really care for at all in the slightest. You don't mess with the original, and I know this is made with some of the same cast, and we still have John Carpenter involved in the film, but it's so beloved by fans. I think that that was a mistake that they did. They didn't change anything of the original night, they just added on to it, which again, I just didn't care for. Though we did get some additional scenes with Donald Pleasance. I don't know how they did that, but Donald Pleasance does reappear in the film in the time period of 1978. Now, one issue I kind of have with this film is the body count. This film has the highest body count in horror movie history ever. Of any singular film in mainstream horror, it has the highest body count, whopping in at around 30 kills, which personally I think is ridiculous. I really liked how in the original films there is a smaller body count, so each death felt a bit more personal. This one felt Michael might as well have been swinging around an axe and just hitting random people. There was a lot of death, which kind of impersonalized and took me out of the movie. But with that being said, we do get a lot more gore, which I'm not a huge fan of gore, but I love that there's more detailed deaths in this movie. You don't get a whole lot of character development with each death. It's kind of impossible to do with such a high body count, but the detail of each death is, I want to say, beautiful from a cinematic standpoint. From a human standpoint, gross, but it's a lot more involved and interesting and creative. He has a lot more creative kills in this film than in the one before or any of the originals. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this movie that felt a bit more realistic to me was that the town of Haddonfield does come together to form some sort of mob to find Michael. This is not a spoiler, it is in the trailers. And of course, my The reason why I was looking forward to this movie, aside from seeing Jamie Lee Curtis, was Kyle Richards' return to the franchise. I absolutely loved her reprise role as Lindsay Wallace, and she did a phenomenal job of acting. I personally am a fan of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That's not horror. Well, it can be horrifying. But it's really great to see her return to this role that she probably had forgotten about as a child. She did a great job acting. I really liked what they did with her character and her subplot. I do wish we got more of her, but understandably, she is not the main character of the film. Speaking of returning characters, we do have Tommy Doyle return. I love that Tommy Doyle returned. I just don't like his character in this movie. He really seems to be positioning himself as the main victim of Michael Myers, which is really annoying to me. And he, the way he speaks about it makes it seem like he was the one being attacked, you know, not like Jamie. And I just really didn't like his character. I love that him and Lindsay stayed friends, and they stayed in contact with Laurie, but again, I just really didn't like his character. He rubbed me the wrong way. Here are just a last couple of notes that I wasn't expecting. The Myers house in this film is so beautiful. It's designed so well, and not designed as in it's super creepy or scary, but I mean like it belongs in Architectural Digest. It is so beautiful. I really appreciate that they not only updated the story, but they've updated his childhood home. Instead of being an abandoned, disheveled place. It's beautiful, and it's a really stark contrast when you see Michael in his home. It's great. Last thing I did not expect was to nearly cry. There's a scene with Judy Greer that makes me want to cry, and it was so, like, it broke my heart a little bit, and it's totally nothing you would expect. It has nothing to do with the last film, technically, and it feels a little bit out of place, but it adds a lot of humanity to the film. And Judy Greer's character makes a really good point about it just after the scene. It's beautiful, it's sad, and Halloween almost made me cry. So overall, this was not one of my favorites in the franchise. It's not the worst by far. I do wish we got Paul Rudd back. I know. Not a lot of people liked him as Tommy Doyle, but I like Paul Rudd. If you really like gore and high body counts, then this film is for you. If you don't like gore, I would avert your eyes, because the film is still worth watching to get the storyline. Overall, I think I give the movie 7 out of 10 stars. I would probably watch it again. I'm gonna go see it in theaters to see if the experience is any different. I don't imagine it would be, but just to give it another chance. I do recommend that you do see the film, inform your own opinions, and let me know what you thought down below. If you don't want to go to the theaters, remember that the film is streaming on Peacock. It is included with Peacock Plus, which is around $5 with ads and $10 with no ads. I watched it with no ads. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok at Horror Buzz Podcast, and follow us on Instagram at Horror Buzzed. Go ahead and click the link below to go ahead and stream our podcast, where we talk about horror films, old and new, along with spooky things, cryptids, true crime, ghost stories, anything we can get our hands on. Also down below will be a link for our merch. I am wearing a piece of our merch right now. It is a little faded. I've had it for a long time now. And with that said, this is Horror Buzzed.